There are still 249 and a half undeclared superdelegates. Among them, the Democratic leader of the Senate, Reid of Nevada, also author of a new book, The Good Fight, which we should point out quickly is not about the Democratic nominating process this year. Senator Reid, kind enough to join us now from Washington. And good evening to you, sir.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be on your show, Keith.
Two questions of the political moment first, if I may. As a superdelegate, as one of the party leaders, do you think the primary process is in its final stretch now? And if not, do you have to do something to make sure it is in its final stretch soon?
I've been saying for several weeks that President Clinton got the nomination on June 2nd. The final primary here is June 3rd. Obama and Clinton at that time will have a couple of days to make their case to the uncommitted, and we're going to have a nominee and have 5 months of a general election. That's as long as the people want or need in a general election.
Senator Clinton yesterday, and John Alter just alluded to this in this interview with USA Today, cited an analysis of her support that was done by the Associated Press. That's, as she quoted it, she has a broader base of support because of white voters. Even as often as you pointed out the Democrats' sort of traditional weakness in some rural areas, do you think that she should have raised this point? Is it not, to discuss it in those terms, a no-win for the party, never mind for a particular candidate in the party?
Well, I'm sure that she didn't mean how it turned out. I think that we have to understand with these superdelegates, there's only a few places to go. House members, senators, and DNC delegates. So if she's after superdelegates, that's not the right thing to do.
Indeed. Let's move to some of the more substantive issues of the moment. The FISA legislation, the so-called Protect America Act. The Republicans argued that if it was not passed immediately, there was imminent danger. Obviously, that has not transpired in the way, the cataclysmic terms that they used and the threats that were behind it, and the president's refusal to accept a temporary extension. But given how much we don't know about what the telecom companies have done, much less with or without the Bush administration, would it make more sense at this point to simply wait until the next administration is in place before acting on these FISA-related issues at all?
Keith, I've never supported immunity for Bush and Cheney and the telephone companies. I think it's unnecessary. I think the court system can handle it very well. We now have a process ongoing where we've passed something in the Senate, something's been passed in the House, and there's a conference going on. Now, Rockefeller and Steny Hoyer say they think they're close to an arrangement. I'd be very anxious to see that because Bush continually cries wolf, and I think he's cried wolf too many times. And I think he should just understand the importance of doing this the right way, not the Bush way.
And whatever has happened since he let that law expire because the offers were made to extend it for short terms while those negotiations were going on, it's pretty clear, is it not, that was exaggeration, that threat that exists was drawn up into dimensions of total disproportionateness by the administration?
Of course, and understand, every Democrat wants to make sure we go after the bad guys, and if it takes some wiretapping to do it, that's fine. But let's keep in mind we have a Constitution, and let's do it in the terms of the Constitution. His abuse of Democrats who don't support his way in this issue has been certainly wrong.
We recently passed that 5th anniversary on the 1st of this month since the mission accomplished declaration on the aircraft carrier. In this book of yours, the new book, The Good Fight, Hard Lessons from Searchlight to Washington, you describe a meeting that you had with the president on a different anniversary, which was the September 11th of 2007, about Iraq. And he made a statement that you wrote left you somewhat incredulous. What you wrote, to quote it exactly, to understand what he said is to understand something profound about the problem at the heart of this administration. What did the president say to you last 9/11 anniversary, and what does it tell us about his leadership?
Well, I was complaining about what was going on, and he basically said, bring them on, we're killing them. We're killing them.
Who?
The terrorists.
Oh, dear. A last point, I guess this is more back into that political category. It's a confusing area for a lot of Democrats. You have said Senator Lieberman of Connecticut supports us on virtually everything except the war. Obviously, though, now there's something else he disagrees with the Democrats on, and that is who is the next president, or who should be the next president. He's campaigning for.
Had to bring that up, didn't you?
Well, it is fairly it's something of a topic for the rest of the year. Is there anything that he could do that would make you move to take his leadership position away on Homeland Security?
Yeah, of course. I understand, Keith, that our margin of being a majority has been pretty slim. With Tim Johnson getting sick, and even before the 9 new Democratic senators were sworn in, he was in a coma for 5 weeks, out of work for 10 months. Our majority was 50 to 49, and with Joe voting with the Republicans on the war, we didn't have a majority. So we fought pretty hard for not having a majority. But I think the facts are that we're going to watch very closely. Joe has been very good on issues with some exception. On everything but the war. But, you know, I don't have all the Democrats on everything, so it's really unfair to pick on Joe on a few other things. The war, we can pick on him all we want. I disagree. I think it's wrong what he's done, and I've told him that.
Something of a razor's edge for us all, I think. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, the author of the new book, The Good Fight, Hard Lessons from Searchlight to Washington. All the best with the book, sir. Great thanks for your time tonight. Have a good weekend.
Thanks for allowing me to be on, as I said.
A pleasure, sir.